Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Monday Night Raw review. And I gotta say, this Raw, I thoroughly enjoyed it. We're on the road to SummerSlam. We got quite a few storylines furthered, in my estimation, tonight. Multiple divisions really represented. A very physical main event. And the Divas Revolution, even though I prefer to call it the Women's Revolution, marches onward and it marches strong. Big fan of this Raw. I thought it was quite a lot of fun. Ashton, what did you think of it?
This Raw was such a rare thing for me because when I saw, I looked at the clock at like 10:05 and I did not realize that it was already that late. It felt like such a fast first 2 hours. And then we went right into another Divas match, which was great. And then we got Orton Owens, which was great. And then the main event, which was, the match itself was really solid. The finish was tolerable. And everything just kind of made sense. And I just really, really enjoyed this show. Like, if I was grading it, this was like a solid 8.5, maybe even a 9 out of 10 for me.
I really have to agree with you. I thought this Raw was on point with just every match, every segment. Again, the storylines that got furthered, I really didn't have any big complaints, which seems quite apropos because as we get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night, I can just continue rolling the ball along and say that I had no complaints about tonight's Raw. Again, I just felt like they crossed every T, dotted every I, and just got me really amped up for SummerSlam, to be honest, especially considering some of the matches that I think were teased on tonight's show. So, what about you, Ashton?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think they did a really good job on this show of dodging any and all sort of landmines that could end up being Heats of the Night for me. Even if they kind of stepped on it, they still ran away in time for it to not explode in their faces.
Exactly. Beautifully said. And with that said, let us roll right on through to our Monday Night Raw review. And we open this Raw up in the most unpredictable way possible. The Authority. They all come out. And I gotta say, though, the crowd was so hot for this opening segment. And I don't think it hurt that, at least initially, to me, Ashton, Stephanie and Triple H, they're coming off like real babies because they're really hyping SummerSlam here.
Yeah, this was about the closest thing that I could have come up with to a Heat of the Night, just because Stephanie McMahon really needs to make up her mind what she is.
And see, though, in her defense, I think she did. I just think that it's really villainous to sucker somebody in and then punch them in the gut and drive the wind out of them, which we'll get to that in a second.
That's what I mean, though. Like, how is she going to come out and be like all this baby face, like tearing down the Bellas and talking about this whole women's revolution one week, and then talking about booking an amazing main event for SummerSlam the following week, and then denying the crowd what they want the following week? It doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, and now this is me doing some ridiculous acrobatics. I will be the first one to admit that. But maybe if you're Stephanie, you get it in your mind that this women's revolution, I mean, yeah, on its face, it's like, oh, let's give the people amazing women's wrestling, which is great. But really, I think it was to keep Nikki Bella in her place. I don't think Stephanie really liked that she was shooting her mouth off. So it's like, okay, Nikki, if you even feel like you're more dominant than me, handle these women. Juggle all of this and then think that you're better than me. So I think that was more to maintain the hierarchy, if you will, than anything else. So I think even then you could construe a heel motivation. But again, it's just acrobatics on my part.
Yeah.
But, we get to SummerSlam here, and Triple H announces that it's going to be a 4-hour extravaganza, so on par with WrestleMania. And then, if that wasn't big enough, he starts running down the Raw card, and good God, Ashton, was this show stacked tonight.
Yeah, there were a lot of really interesting matches set up for the night. I think he did mention Big Show Ambrose, and even though at first thought that seems like a stinker, it actually ended up being a really good match. And the rest of the matches that he announced seemed like they would be awesome and ended up being awesome.
Exactly. I mean, the match that really made my ears prick up, Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton.
Yeah.
And then, but you know what, though? I love it because Triple H is really selling every match. And again, I think about Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. He sells Kevin Owens like, oh, the man that beat John Cena in his very first, WWE match and like all that stuff. And then Seth Rollins cuts in. And this is what I got to say I love about Seth Rollins. I know we've been somewhat critical of his booking and everything else lately, but when it comes to the performer, which we've always been very praiseworthy of, this is where the money comes in because he starts laughing, but then he immediately brings it back to him. He's like, oh, you guys have got me so excited. And when you want to talk about firsts, it makes me think about how I was the first man to cash in at WrestleMania and become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Seth just reminds me of that person that you could be talking about something completely unrelated and they always bring it back to them. You know what I mean? You know who I'm talking about? It's like, I went to the sandwich shop today. Oh, yeah, that's great. I did this with a friend of mine. Well, that's nice. How did we get to be about you? And that's just the vibe I got from Seth.
Yeah, I actually know a few people that are quite like that.
I know. Yeah, me as well. Which is very
namely just people that I know through my grandmother. But
yeah, I think to be honest, I think my own grandmother is like that to a degree. But I digress. But yeah, Seth is just hilarious in that kind of role. I love it. I love how that egoism just kind of really shines through. But then, it's not long for Seth's boasting to be interrupted by John Cena, picking up where he left off the week prior, and, once again lays the challenge down to Seth Rollins. And this is where Stephanie, to me, has the zinger of the night, because she really did put a smile on my face with her douchebaggery, because she's like, well, what about it, guys? Do you want to see it? Do you want to see John Cena versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship? I mean, I know you guys were loud earlier. I got to ask you one more time. Do you want it? And they explode. Again, the crowd, very participatory. Really love this crowd tonight. And she said, well, I guess then my answer is no. And then I'm like, aw, damn.
I love it, too, because the way she said it, I mean, first of all, there were people on Reddit calling her a slut, which immediately just uncool. But the way she said it cracked me up, because she said, for the first time ever, I'm going to say no.
Dude, it was great. And you know what? I think it made it even better because I more predominantly have been talking about how I feel like there's this chasm between the Authority and Seth Rollins, and is the Authority going babyface and what's going on with their relationship. So I think, oh my God, and this would have been a heat of the night for me too, to be honest, if they had thrown Seth to the wolves like this, because it would have gone back to that same central issue. Why aren't you backing, your chosen one, so to speak? So for Stephanie to do the fake out, not only did I smile, I breathed a huge sigh of relief, but then they turn the tables, and Triple H comes in and he says, but, the match in itself isn't a bad idea. So we are going to have in our main event John Cena versus Seth Rollins for John Cena's United States Championship. And I still think it gets a nice reaction because the crowd does get a championship match. But John Cena's just like, damn Authority, putting me to work again. So I got to say, even though this opening segment contains some of the usual suspects, mainly the Authority, I still like the energy here. I think that could be very attributable to the crowd. And Stephanie definitely, I think, was just the queen of this segment to me. Loved what she did on the mic. And, yeah, just really set a great tone for the remainder of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. They did a great job here.
All right. With that said, what happened after that?
Did we already talk about John Cena coming out? Because John Cena came out.
Yeah, we talked about that.
All right, then up next was the first match of the night.
Yes, Dean Ambrose versus The Big Show, correct?
Absolutely, with The Miz on commentary. We're actually 3 different matches tonight with guest commentators, and I'm happy to announce that none of said guest commentators had the last name Bella.
I know. How wonderful is that? And I gotta say, as far as this match goes, dude, I enjoyed it far more than I think I had any right to.
I know, right? This was actually a really good match. They made Big Show look like a monster killer again, and Dean Ambrose proved to be the toughest man alive.
That's what I particularly liked about it.
And not to mention all the Tumblerinas are freaking out about Dean Ambrose with his shirt off, so...
I also felt like, in all honesty, just a quick aesthetic observation, I think I like the shirtless Gene combo better for Ambrose than the whole tank top Gene, but that's just me.
Well, yeah, and that would also make him look different than Luke Harper beyond the beard.
Yeah, absolutely right. But I think the 2 things, well, actually 3 things, I felt like really everything was on point in this match that I really liked. A, Big Show was just imposing his will, and he looked really dominant. And if we're going to do a Big Show Ryback match down the road, which I think they're definitely having eyes on that, probably at SummerSlam if I were to guess. You want to make Big Show really seem like a mountain to climb, even for somebody as physically impressive as Ryback. So I feel like they check that box off.
Absolutely.
2, in my personal opinion, I can't speak for you. I thought Miz did wonderful on commentary. He was obnoxious, but he was a different kind of obnoxious than what I'm used to. Actually, to be honest, Ashton, I took one of my world-famous mental notes, because I know you're always the physical note-taker. That's a joke between us. And I said that I felt like Miz took a page out of Kevin Owens' playbook, because he always relayed things, back to him. It's like, I would have done the exact same thing that Dean Ambrose did, or, I'm the same way as Dean Ambrose, with his
My favorite part of that whole thing was when Ambrose had the sleeper locked in on Big Show, and he was like, yeah, this is a great strategy. This is exactly what I would do. And then as he's talking about how it's such a great strategy, Big Show flips Ambrose off and sends him to the outside, and Miz just goes, yeah, but that wouldn't have happened to me.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was really good.
I love that the superiority complex, comes out in full force, but in a different way again than what we're used to. And then the third thing.
Everybody taking hints on how to be a heel from Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens just makes everyone better. I mean, he's not exactly comparable to Adam Cole, but I'm beginning to think he's close.
They are former stablemates. They were members of the original Mount Rushmore of indie wrestling.
Oh my God. Then that means Adam Cole rubbed off on Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens is rubbing off on everyone else. It's the circle of wrestling, baby.
It's like our first little tiny hint of a taste of in WWE.
Brock Vaughn, please! But the crown... Love it. The crown jewel of this match for me, again, was the illustration of the toughness of Dean Ambrose. They really went out of their way to say that it takes a hell of a lot to beat this guy. And considering where Dean Ambrose is probably going at SummerSlam, I think this was a match that he needed. He needed to show, as if he didn't already show it at Money in the Bank against Seth Rollins a few months back. This really shows that he can take a beating and keep going, and I think he really became like an emotional favorite as the match progressed. Normally I hate count-out teases, and I know he beats it at 10, but you know what? The way they did it and who Dean was doing it against, I felt like it really worked and it really resonated with me because, first he gets tossed to the outside and maybe he comes back in at 7. Then he eats another maneuver, a spear. Then it's 9, and then it's the knockout punch after a missed suicide dive attempt, or an intercepted suicide dive attempt is more like it. And Dean, he gets to his feet, but it's just he collapses and he can't make the count. So that booking to me I thought was so on point, really made Ambrose look tough as nails, and I think it's going to really get him ready for what he's going to do at SummerSlam. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be far more interesting than I thought that it would have been if you would have asked me 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So Big Show gets the count-out victory. What's surprising here is that Miz actually walks away from this segment unscathed, but Big Show does not. Because while I was actually kind of anticipating a Ryback return, which, by the way, Miz got a few shots in on Ryback on commentary saying, that he has a strong immune system that would have beaten up a staph infection. So that was pretty funny. Because I had heard rumors Ryback was going to return. That did not happen.
Is it just me, or was the Miz taking a subtle shot at CM Punk there?
Maybe. I kind of got a similar feeling, but I guess we'll never know. The Big Show tried spearing Ambrose through the security barricade. Ambrose moves out of the way, and I love the smirk that Ambrose has on his face. Like, yeah, that's right. I lived. Deal with it. And then he walks off. Oh, Ambrose is so good. So, yeah, dude, you really don't think that a match between these two guys, despite how great Ambrose is, would be anything special. But the story they told, I felt like really compensated for any deficiencies Big Show has at this stage of his career. So, really well done.
Definitely. Yeah, these guys, I feel like this is like the Miz's prime.
Yes! Definitely. I don't think he's ever been better.
I think that pretty much since his big return when he was with Damien Mizdow, that kind of era up until present, and you could say continuing into the future, I would say is the Miz's prime so far.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I feel like his character, it just really, again, clicks with me. His work on commentary and even on the mic, it's hit and miss, but I'd say it's more hit than it's ever been.
I think it's more hit than miss as far as his work on Tough Talk goes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, I wish we would get that Miz more, but I think that's more suited if he was a babyface, but then when he was a babyface, it was a miserable failure. It's like, what's going on? Like, I feel like it can work, and then it doesn't, and then you're just left kind of befuddled. But, yeah, Miz is just really doing excellent work right now and should certainly be commended for that.
Exactly. All right, up next, though, it was weird because we just had, well, I guess I shouldn't say it was weird because it's not really weird for Raw to have a ton of commercials, but it seemed like there were more than usual tonight. But once we got back from the commercial that happened, oh, actually, you know what? Before the commercial, we did get a post-match segment. The Big Show attempting to exit the ring, sees Ambrose managing to still kind of get up to his feet even after the knockout punch and gets enraged by this, tries to spear him through the barricade, but Ambrose dodges and sends Big Show through the barricade. So that was a cool moment for Ambrose.
Absolutely. Like I said, I loved the smirk that Ambrose had after the fact. You know, as if to say, yeah, I survived that. What are you going to do about that? And then he walks off on his own power. People love a badass. Yep. And I feel like, you know, there was nothing about Ambrose's performance that devolved into camp for me, which I feel like was really good. So
I would say the limping towards the end got a little campy, like borderline zombie walk campy.
Yeah, I guess, to be honest, I really didn't take much note of the limp, so I guess maybe I just missed that, but yeah.
It was very exaggerated, very animated, very Dean Ambrose, really, because that's just kind of how he is. He's very animated, very over-exaggerated, everything. Like, he's the Jim Carrey of the WWE.
Oh, Dean. All right, man, so what happened after this?
Then we went to the commercial, and then we got our second match of the night, Fandango versus Neville. I guess Fandango's working heel this match, I don't know. It was a fairly quick match. Fandango had a pretty cool, like a gory special chin lock on Neville, but really it didn't last too long. Neville reversed it pretty quickly and then ended up winning with the red arrow.
Yeah, this really didn't last long for Fandango, to your point. Neville gets the red arrow, he gets the win. It's really the post-match that's the topic of conversation here, because Stardust appears on the Titantron, and he pretty much tells Neville, you know, everybody, you know, that people love heroes. They want heroes, and he actually sneaks in one of his father's famous lines, that wine and dine with kings and queens. And, yes, they'll even take green hooded heroes, so that's a shot at Stephen Amell of Arrow. And then I think he actually tears up a comic book or some kind of merch.
It was a Green Arrow comic book.
Okay, that's what I figured. And then he tells Neville that he's going to help him, you know, embrace the strange and to get people to appreciate the void. And, yeah, just, you know, people can say what they want about Stardust promos and this and that. I do kind of appreciate the guy's delivery, because it does seem like very supervillain-esque. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. Solid promo. I'm just looking forward to the payoff at SummerSlam, because really, to be honest, it's kind of the fallout from all of this that I'm more intrigued by. I mean, is he going to stay as Stardust? Is he going to go back as Cody Rhodes? Because I've been hearing a lot of stuff. But you know what? Kudos to him for making it work. I'm actually invested in this to a degree, and I'm curious what the payoff will be at SummerSlam. So,
yeah, definitely. Not sure if you caught it, but Stardust kind of dropped a wine and dine with kings and queens reference into the promo as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Absolutely love that.
Up next, we had a backstage segment. It was Paige, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch talking about this Divas Revolution. Mostly Paige doing the talking, which I personally think is unfortunate, because I think that of the three, Becky Lynch is the best talker, but we can deal with Paige for now. They get interrupted by Sasha Banks, who does have the rest of Team Bad along with her, but it's mostly just Sasha Banks. She talks about how she's the baddest and they're Team Bad and they're going to take over the division, and Paige didn't do anything, and Stephanie McMahon was the one that introduced them to the main roster and that kind of stuff. We get a little bit of a stare down because Becky says something about how something about Sasha. I don't even remember exactly what she said, but she said something catty to Sasha, and Tamina got up in Becky's face, and we just had like the three-way face-off with Sasha and Paige separating the teams from each other. And it was just kind of a little tease at our next segment, which was our third match of the night, Paige versus Sasha Banks.
Oh, this match was so good.
It was.
Oh, they went back and forth. They killed each other.
I'm going to go ahead and say it, dude. This was the match of the night.
You really loved it that much? You know what? I'd be inclined to agree. And you know, I'll get...
I mean, the only other match that came close was Cena Rollins, and that felt like it didn't really get enough time to really tell a full story.
Right. And plus, I mean, I gotta be honest, I feel like they should be match of the night again because they're shattering perceptions. You know, I feel like people know what they can come to expect from Cena Rollins, but I think people are still being conditioned to this whole movement going on in the main roster. So this was, I think, the kind of match that they really needed to kind of exemplify and solidify that, yeah, we're here and we're not going anywhere, and this is legitimate change that you can buy in and sit comfortably and enjoy our matches, because Sasha and Paige just tore the house down here.
They did. They had a really, really good match here. And there was even some very faint, albeit still audible, let's go Paige chants while Sasha had Paige locked in the straitjacket, which to me is a sign that crowds are starting to get back invested in the Divas division.
Which is great. You know, that was why this whole movement began in the first place, and to see it kind of paying dividends with people not only cheering for specific women, but just, you know, applauding the efforts, getting excited, being vocal in the matches in general is such a positive sign to me, and they seemed very reactive to this matchup, did the crowd tonight. Yeah, I mean, Sasha got her signature offense in at points. I mean, those double knees to the stomach, which I love, just look so brutal. As you said,
and the running double knees to Paige while she was sitting down up against the turnbuckles in the corner.
Yeah, that was brutal as well. Paige got her kicks to the face in. You know, she didn't get her...
The triple clothesline.
Yeah, the triple clothesline, the headbutts. Sasha, how she moves in the ring and how she works in environment. Like, I know at one point she mocked Paige's taunt. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Great work there. At one point, Paige gets like this Indian deathlock, almost chin lock in on Sasha.
Yeah, I have it in my notes. I literally just have it labeled as a knee to the back crossface.
Yeah. And you know, worth noting that I don't think Paige ever got in the Scorpion crosslock.
No, because she went for it at one point and Sasha kicked her away, but then Paige came off the ropes and kind of used that momentum to hit Sasha with almost like a Shining Wizard-looking knee strike.
Right. So yeah, these women. Sasha did the Shinsuke Nakamura foot shivers. Yep. That was really cool. Yep. So yeah, these women, they did so much in this match, and ultimately though, Paige taps out to Sasha after the bank statement. Now, I'm not going to lie, everybody knows I love Sasha to death, like Ashton here. It looked like the backbreaker was a little messed up initially, but the bank statement submission in itself, I think, was perfectly executed, so it was a nice recovery. Yeah. I was a little worried about that, but I think they recovered well. You know what?
It seems like the girls that don't get an opportunity to work with Sasha, because like when she was in NXT, she could always work with like Bayley and Becky and Charlotte and all those girls. She could kind of make sure that they know how to take that move at the performance center. And the girls that she's working with now, I mean, they're on the road. They don't have any kind of time to rehearse that kind of stuff. So it definitely seems like what is it called? I don't remember what it's called, but there's actually a name for that backcracker that it seems like it's suffering because the girls aren't figuring out how to take it.
And you know what? You certainly can't fault them for that. And under those circumstances, again, I do think the recovery was very well done. And you know what? In a strange way, and I know this is going to sound weird, maybe it's even better that hiccup happened, because now that they showed how good they can recover, it just shows you how good they are.
Yeah.
Really, it does. Because I think it's under pressure that we see who has the real potential and everything else. And these women, again, beautiful recovery. Sasha gets the submission victory. 1-on-1, too. And that's the big deal here.
That is, yeah, because every match that we've seen so far since these girls have come back, it seems like has been either a tag match or a triple threat.
Exactly, and here's my thing, Ashton. I don't know what the end game for this whole Turf War storyline is, but in the aftermath and the fall...
I mean, you would think it would be a triple threat trios match, right?
I mean, that's what I'm thinking as well, but I don't know who's going to win and what we do going forward. But
I honestly think that they could drag this out for a really long time. They could even have, like, I don't know, maybe like the Bellas kick Alicia Fox out of their stable because she eats one too many pins, and then Charlotte turns on Paige and Becky Lynch and joins the Bella Twins, and they replace her with Alicia Fox, who wants her revenge on the Bellas. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Can I ask you a follow-up question to that, actually? Because I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because I had a thought going on in my head tonight, and I guess this is John's, rare dip in the pool of fantasy booking. I've noticed that in the booking so far, and I like it this way, this isn't a complaint, they're really going out of their way to protect the NXT women, right?
Yes.
And you see Sasha, she's made Paige tap out twice now.
And not only that, but she basically is the only NXT woman who is the leader of her little faction.
Exactly. So
And I know you're talking. I apologize for cutting you off again, but I want to add one more thing.
Yes.
She did get a vignette before this match tonight. Again, another one from the one that we saw on SmackDown.
Absolutely correct. So there's a lot of hype around her. They definitely want to create an aura around her.
They see money in Sasha.
As they should. As they should.
That's right. That's right, John. That's right.
The question, though, to me, because it just, like, a light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, my God, what if, right? Because Sasha's already the heel. She's arrogant. She thinks the world of herself, again, as she should. But then what if you get Charlotte and Becky? They look at Paige, who's tapped out twice now to Sasha, and they ask themselves, why are we following her? And then, long story short, we get Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha Banks teaming up, and then they just wait for Bayley to get called up, and that's how we get our 4 horsewomen. Just these women realizing that they're better than the main roster women they were supposed to, be led by, and then they take matters into their own hands, and then it becomes a different turf war entirely. Do you think that's possible?
You know what? I'm not going to write it off, because anything is possible, because I didn't think that they would make it as cool as it already is, so they're going to just exceed my expectations, hopefully.
Right.
But I mean, it's interesting. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of that, just because I feel like the battle lines are already drawn, and I would rather they just kind of work with what they have rather than redrawing the battle lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that does make sense though, because it's one of those things where, like, okay, we have both proven that we are capable of beating this girl, and yet the girl that's supposed to be our leader just tapped out to her 2 weeks in a row.
Exactly. And then on the other side,
and especially Charlotte, because Charlotte, I think, didn't she beat Sasha? She beat Sasha to defend the title at least once.
Yeah, I feel like she's beaten Sasha to defend the title either once or even twice.
Yeah. And then, I don't think Becky Lynch has ever beaten Sasha, has she? She might have beaten her to win number 1 contendership, but I don't remember.
I don't think she's ever beaten her, but I know she's gotten the better of her in certain times, like that contract signing when she got her in the Disarmer.
Yeah. And by the way, I love that they renamed that move. I loved the Disgustin armbar name, but the WWE isn't quite shameless enough to be able to bring themselves to say that on main television, so I love the new name.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a perfect fit considering, where we are. And yeah, it's just a thought that popped in my head, Ashton, because the NXT women are looking fantastic, which, again, I love. But it just got to make you wonder, like, they're going to look at the main roster women and be like, they're nothing. We can take them like nothing, and then just like be like, well, let's consolidate our power, and then we'll settle it among ourselves. But I mean, who knows?
I guess my question is, as if you're Sasha Banks, why would you even want a team with Charlotte and Becky at this point?
And see, that's a very good question. I guess the only logical heelish explanation, strength in numbers.
I guess to me, the only way that they could make that work is if Naomi and Tamina start eating a ton of pins on top of Paige.
Right.
That would work. I think that would make sense. And then it wouldn't be this super generic, like, stereotypical, like, race war almost, where you've got the 3 white girls on one team, and then the 3 darker girls on one team, and then the 3 black girls on another team. It's just kind of messed up.
Right. I see what you're saying. And yeah, I think we've already kind of seen that start, because last Thursday on SmackDown, when Naomi and Sasha Banks had that tag team match with the Bella Twins, Naomi ate the pin.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. You know what, John? I love that you're bringing this up, and I completely appreciate your logic. The problem with that, though, is that they did not bring that match up on Raw tonight. And and that's my thing, is if it happened on SmackDown and it doesn't get referenced on Raw, it never existed.
But you know something? At the end of the day, I think this conversation in itself is a victory. That we could talk this long about the potential of these women and where they could go forward.
Dude, I mean, we could probably put out a commentary each week just talking about the state of the women in the WWE.
Absolutely.
Because
just wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, especially the 3 NXT women that just showed up. Sasha Banks is looking amazing. They've given her so much spotlight, I guess I could say. I mean, she kind of stepped up as the leader of her team. And that's the thing, too. Becky Lynch and Charlotte, and I was even saying this to some people on Reddit, Becky Lynch and Charlotte are both on the same team. And then Team Bella doesn't have any NXT representatives, which is why I kind of brought up earlier the idea of Charlotte and Alicia Fox kind of switching spots. I think that would be ideal, because then Charlotte could be on the Team Bella, and they could be like the tippy-top heels. And then Alicia Fox could join Paige and Becky Lynch, and you would have another girl in that team to start eating pins and submissions and whatever that isn't Paige, so Paige could get some credibility back.
Yeah, it's a very good point, Ashton. I could definitely see some shift in the dynamics. I just can't wait to see where this all goes from here. I mean, again, I agree with your assessment that a trios tag team matchup at SummerSlam will take place. I would love to see Sasha get the win, but I can't help but feel like it's probably going to be Paige's team if I were to guess, but I guess only time will tell. But the idea that this amazing matchup spawned that kind of discussion is a victory in itself. Go, Sasha! Way to make Paige tap out not once, but twice.
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel like I even brought up, it might have been during our live reactions to when these girls made their debut, I even brought up that they might be able to kind of play it off where Sasha is the best of the 9 women involved in this angle, but her team is the worst because Naomi and Tamina are 2 of the worst 3 out of the 9.
Right.
It's like if you average rankings, those 2 girls drag the team down so much that Sasha's number 1 doesn't make enough of a difference.
Exactly. And as a quick side note, too, I love how this makes the NXT Women's Championship look a lot like they did for the NXT World Championship when Kevin Owens beat John Cena in his first match. Yep. You know, you have Sasha come in and make the very first NXT Women's Champion tap out.
And the great thing, too, is that Paige, in the backstage segment before the match, Sasha said about how she was the NXT Women's Champion, and Paige is like, oh, yeah, that's cute. You know what's even better than that? The first ever NXT Women's Champion and a 2-time Divas Champion. And Sasha beat that.
Exactly. That's how it all freaking matters. God, I love this.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so glad that we're getting reason to praise this now, because if the WWE does what they normally do, we're going to find so many ways to crap on it in a couple months. Appreciate it while it's still around, because this is the WWE, and anything good never lasts more than like 2 months.
Exactly.
And we're going into our 2nd month in this angle, brother.
Strap in, people. It's going to get worse.
All
Maybe
right.
not, though.
Well, I hope not. I hope they stick with it, but we'll see. Up next, though. Oh, and by the way, it's also worth noting, I thought this was adorable. When Sasha was celebrating, she just kicked Paige out of the ring under the bottom rope. It was pretty cool. And then she turned around and looks at the crowd and she goes, "Thank you!"
You're welcome, Sasha. It was our privilege.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then up next, we had a Renee Young interview with Seth Rollins. To paraphrase, Seth is confident he'll beat Cena tonight. He even whips out a "we've seen enough" joke. And he says that the future has passed Cena by.
I think Seth just gets me, man. Because, like, the week before, he tells the audience of the USA chant, shut up, shut
You
your
don't even know
mouth.
what you're chanting.
You don't even know what you're chanting.
I love that line.
And then this week, he's like, you know, I'm the man who beat Brock Lesnar, and then Renee, being the infinite source of adorableness that she is. Well, you didn't really pin Brock. Look, I don't need technicalities, Renee. God, Seth, you're such a douche. So yeah, pretty much what you said. You know, he's gonna beat Cena. We've seen enough. He's, I guess, gonna be the cure. You know, whatever. So good stuff from Seth. He's just really making me laugh more consistently, and I love it. I think I'm actually gonna do his full blown cackle soon enough. Just give it time. So.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we have Rusev. This was a really weird but really entertaining segment. Rusev comes out and cuts a promo about how great it is to be with Summer, and how Hot Summer is wonderful because she's obedient, and how it's a woman's privilege to obey a man, but that it's a man's privilege to buy a woman gifts. And he says that he bought her some gifts, and he brings out the first one, and he opens it up, and it's an actual live puppy. And it looked like a rat terrier, and I know that sounds like I'm making a joke, but that's an actual dog breed, and that's what it looked like.
Yeah. Summer absolutely loved it. And then, you know, Rusev is kind of talking down the dog, you know, saying, you know.
It's ugly, it has skinny legs, it pees on itself, and it's neutered, so let's name it Dog Ziggler. And can I just say, Dog Ziggler was trending worldwide on Twitter tonight.
Oh my god. Is it just me? Or has Rusev been one of the best surprises in WWE in some time? Because I feel like,
you know what, dude? What's so wonderful about him is that he's a good actor, and the fact that he's a good actor and the fact that he's got this foreign character completely overshadows the fact that he isn't the most articulate speaker, because being the foreign character, he doesn't need to be articulate, and sometimes when he's inarticulate, it even works in his favor because of his character.
Exactly. I just feel like when he came in, on NXT, because we've seen Rusev's rise, which is something I definitely take pride in. I just thought, oh man, he's going to be another bulldozer type character, be this behemoth that gets, pretty much your analysis on one episode of TWitWoW. He's going to go through everybody, he's going to get in that main event picture, but then he's going to, just descend and be wherever. But Rusev has shown he is so much more than that, and I love it. I think that's why I was so heartbroken when he got injured, because I realized just how good this man is and how much angles that he is a part of hurt when he can't be a part of them. Because before he got back in the picture, this angle stunk. I mean, let's not make any, apologies for it, any pretense about it. It absolutely stunk. And ever since he's come back, even though it's not perfect by any means, I find myself enjoying it so much more because I feel like he was such a crucial piece because, hell, this really does revolve around him. So seeing that, and then he produces this fish head, this fish, and he says, since this is pretty much slimy, disgusting, whatever, let's call it Lana, and they have a good laugh. And then Lana comes out, and I think her lines here were very important because, like you said, Rusev had the promo in the beginning, it's a woman's privilege to be subservient to a man and serve a man. And then Lana said, a true strength is to lead, not always following a man around and whatnot. So Lana, I guess, having feminist tendencies in her character, we've certainly seen it on her Twitter, in the past. So It was great to see her bring it on the mic. And again, I like that WWE is being more progressive in that vein as well. I know you kind of groaned a little bit last week because we had the whole Summer Rae Lana confrontation, fighting over a man, and that just seemed, so cliche, so status quo. But then having Lana come out this week and say, a woman can lead, doesn't need a man pretty much, and that's
what she said too. She said that it's a woman's privilege to lead, not to obey.
Exactly. I really, really like that. And then she comes in, and she pretty much takes Summer Rae down. She shoves Summer Rae's face into the fish, which, by the way, this was all prompted by Summer Rae saying, he used to, why would he want this? And he gestures to Lana while holding up the fish. Because
and it's funny, too, because she even talked about how he used to have to snuggle and cuddle up to this, and that's when she holds up the fish, and then she's just like, now he gets to cuddle with this. And she, stands sideways, shows us her profile, and kind of shows off her womanly shape before Lana slaps her in the face and then kicks her high heels off in faster time than I thought possible before shoving her face in the fish.
And I gotta say, you were very commendable of her. I'm enjoying Summer Rae's performance as well, being turned into this Lana 2.0. I feel like she sells the humiliation that Lana doles out quite well. And, I'm actually kind of enjoying this dynamic, seeing as how it's simply become more than just Rusev trying to replace Lana. It's Rusev trying to recreate Lana through Summer Rae. And I feel like that's a more interesting story to tell.
And this is the best work that Summer Rae has done in the WWE since she started the BFFs.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So after Summer's humiliation, Rusev at first kind of backs away because, the fish smells rotting and everything. So imagine how Summer's face smells. And then he tries to, berate Lana. Lana slaps him, and then she walks out. And I love this whole image because Rusev tries to throw the fish, almost as if trying to get his stink on Lana, and Lana just breezes past it, almost as if she's moving on from her life. She's moving on from all that stink. So I thought that was really well done. And so, yeah, Rusev's left steaming. You have to imagine that Rusev Ziggler is going to be, on course for SummerSlam, but I really don't know Ziggler's status. I don't know if you know anything. I haven't heard anything.
I have no clue. I heard rumors that he might return tonight, but like you said, you heard rumors that Ryback might return tonight, so we just really don't know what's going on.
Exactly. I think
this is the happiest I think I've ever been to be out of the loop, because when these guys finally do return, I'm going to pop so hard.
Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting, especially, we're hearing so much about Ziggler lately. First of all, how is he going to interact with Rusev going towards SummerSlam? And then again, as I've said about a lot of storylines, what's the aftermath? What's the fallout? And I say that in the best possible way, not in an, oh, come on, let's hurry up, let's get through this kind of way. So it's an interesting time for WWE, to be sure, in their undercard.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and move on here real quick. Fourth match of the night, Lucha Dragons versus Los Matadores. Primetime players on commentary. That's the second of 3 matches with someone on commentary. And can I just say, this match was so good, but you could barely tell because of how freaking distracting commentary was.
I know. I don't even really want to blame PTP. You know, I think they were trying to have fun.
I think PTP is directly to blame, and specifically Titus O'Neil.
Yeah, he was so good, like, I feel like a few weeks before. And
well, I mean, he's good in the sense that he's entertaining, but he's overshadowing what's going on in the ring.
Right. I mean, it's really, once again, the problem that we sometimes have with main commentary.
Yeah.
You know, when they're, talking amongst themselves and this and that. Sometimes I just wonder if we even need commentary in WWE anymore, and I'm kind of serious about that.
It's funny because I was actually thinking about, because now we've been doing this New Japan commentary for so long, I was actually thinking about starting a thread on Reddit, just being like, hey, would you guys be interested in alternate role commentary? And we could just do that every week.
Yeah, really. Because I feel like you and I, at least with how we gel together, we're kind of throwback style commentary used to be done. Where I feel like as now,
dude, we are absolutely monsters when it comes to calling moves.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Like, and I don't say this insultingly because I know. Look, I'm not saying Michael Cole's job is easy. This isn't to denigrate him or even JBL for that matter. I know we like to have a lot of fun at his expense, but to me, commentary has become far more promotional today than anything else. And again, this was a really great match. This was the kind of match that made me realize, like, wow, why couldn't the Matadors just work the original heel gimmick they wanted to? Because I'm sure you read the same story. They wanted to be a heel gimmick at first, but WWE being PG, they cartooned it up. They made it a babyface thing, and, you got whatever. But them working, I guess, more heelish in opposition to the Lucha Dragons and still showing off that athleticism, I'm like, man, Epico and Primo, you still got it, and I think you never lost it. You're just not allowed to show it as much anymore. So they were so good. Lucha Dragons are always entertaining. Kalisto's hot tags, man. I still can't believe WWE has not gotten behind the Lucha Dragons like I really thought they would in our NXT reviews. If you remember how excited I used to get about the potential merch sales and how they could really have a crowd following.
Yeah, there are two different reasons why one of us gets really excited talking about NXT. It's either A, because we see somebody as an amazing prospect that can eventually make the WWE a lot of money on the main roster, or B, because there are women in the ring.
Exactly. Yeah. And, in Kalisto's case, it was certainly the former. Like, I thought we were going to get masks, T-shirts, all that stuff, and then we're going to sell like hotcakes. Now, I don't know his merch numbers. Maybe they are impressive, but, like, why didn't you get behind these guys? It's really infuriating to think about. But then...
Well, I mean, I was going to say, they might not have gotten behind them right away, but they picked up the win tonight.
They did. And how did they pick up the win? In the most glorious way possible. Yes. New day. And
did you notice, John? I have to ask, did you notice Xavier Woods watching Kalisto do the Lucha dance and going, new day, new day, new day?
I did notice that, but you know what I noticed even more than that? Big E and Xavier Woods skipping with a sign in hand.
No, that was Kofi. Kofi was the one that was skipping.
I felt like Big E was doing some skipping of his own, though.
Oh, no, Big E was definitely skipping, but Xavier Woods wasn't.
Big E skipping, though,
it's like he was trying to be someone in the marching band, but he couldn't keep up, so he had to, like, run skip.
The best thing I can say about Big E skipping, folks, it's a wonderful time in life when you get something you wanted that you never even knew you wanted in the first place. Like, I can die happy now seeing that beautiful man skip. Like, he is just wonderful. Really, really wonderful. I still freaking love the New Day, tag team champions or not. And they're getting up in Titus's face like, oh, Kofi's the real dad of the year. And oh my God, there's such an amazing gimmick. And Los Matadores are distracted. And as you said, Ashton, Lucha Dragons pick up the win. So now the story they're telling here is, well, Los Matadores, they pinned primetime players. Lucha Dragons pinned Los Matadores. But New Day were the former champions despite the fact that they got their rematch. So how do we resolve this chain? What completes the chain?
Team turmoil.
I would love tag team turmoil. Either that or let's see, we got 1, 2. Yeah, we have 4 teams. A 4 corners tag team match. Either that or tag team turmoil.
I'm calling it, brother. Next week on Raw, the Ascension pins Sin Cara.
I would love that. Get the Ascension in the title picture. Hell, personally, months ago, I would have said get the titles themselves on the Ascension, but I digress.
And you know what? After that, I think we need a new tag team. Heath Slater and Fandango pin one of the Ascension.
You know what? I could see it. I mean, the Ascension have already done enough. What's one more match to get a new and unique team in the picture? Right. So, I don't disagree with that at all. You know what? I like everything we discussed here.
Or maybe another possibility. Oh, no. You know what? Never mind. That's not going to happen. I was going to bring up the Wyatt family, but Bray and Harper are taking on Reigns and Ambrose.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I liked everything we discussed here in the tag team division. I have nothing else to say at the moment, but Big E skipping, man. I hope somebody GIF that.
Dude,
I really
Big E,
do.
oh, my God, dude. That was a GIF literally within 2 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
that's yeah.
But what I was gonna say is Kofi has been doing that skip for weeks now, and he does it the same way every time, and it never stops being funny. But this is the first time Big E whipped out the skip, and it was probably the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I feel like I'm never going to be diseased again. Like, I feel like he cured me of all future diseases.
I was gonna say, so Big E's skip literally cured not just cancer, but all diseases.
Exactly. It was a panacea. Just wiped out everything off the face of the earth. Just beautiful. Just absolutely wonderful.
Oh, man.
All right. With that said, yeah.
Yeah, up next, we had a Bray Wyatt promo, speaking of the Wyatt family. And I actually really enjoyed this. He did a good job of grabbing your attention and keeping it. He told a story about a pet that he had, and then he talked about how the pet had curiosity in its eyes, so he decided to let the pet go. And when he said something about how the pet wanted to see what was through the woods and over the train tracks or something like that, and he took it out to the yard and just let it go. And the next time he saw that pet, it had a scar from its ear to its nose. And then from that day on, that pet never wanted to leave his side because he realized that the world had sharper teeth than it did. And he talked about how he fixed Luke Harper, but then he set him free, and now Harper has come back to him, and then he hands the mic over to Harper.
Can I just say, even if it's for one night only, welcome home, Bray. Because these are the promos that made me fall in love with this character. Oh. I think, for one, and it needs to be stated, it absolutely helped that he did it in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
He had the atmosphere and everything. I could not take Ashton, I'm telling you, and honestly, I may have even made it a nitpick just to kind of get the purge of the annoyance from my system. I can't take another kind of Titantron promo. I can't. Like, he needs to work that environment. He needs to have the crowd feed off of him because I feel like it takes the promos to another level entirely when you have that atmosphere. B, I like how he wasn't speaking in incoherent riddles. He told, this story, and the story was coherent and it related to the grander message of, Roman, you say that Dean Ambrose is your brother, but I doubt it. I don't believe it. And, we're going to put that to the test more or less. And then you're right. He does talk about the snake before that and how Luke Harper relates to that snake. And then Luke Harper doesn't do bad himself. He keeps it more succinct than Bray, which I think is natural. He's subservient to Bray, so it makes sense. About how the world didn't accept him. The world hurt him. They lied to him. And that, he is loyal to Bray and that Bray Wyatt saved him. So, we've got these two back together. Nice explanation there from Luke Harper. A great cover by Bray again with the snake store. I thought that was brilliant. And then, Bray lays down the whole challenge. Do you really care about Dean Ambrose?
I don't think he ever actually said anything about a snake. I think he just called it a pet the whole time.
Oh, I thought he called it a snake, but I mean, regardless, whether it was pet or if he did reference snake, I like that he made that whole parallel between a pet and Luke Harper as kind of his disciple, his son, that he set out into the world and then he comes home. Yeah. I thought that was really well done. And then, I like how this storyline has shifted dynamics. I mean, it used to be about Roman Reigns' daughter, which admittedly was far edgier and far more intriguing, but maybe WWE again realized, hey, you know what, we can't put our foot as forcefully on the gas pedal as we would like, so why don't we shift it to Dean Ambrose and talk about brotherhood in terms of friendship and make that the story. And I think that can be well done. Certainly, especially with Dean Ambrose's character, I think that's what's kind of going to set it apart from other stories like this. So I'm intrigued where this will go. Absolutely.
For sure. Absolutely, yeah. All right. Up next was our second Divas match of the night, a tag team match, Charlotte and Becky Lynch teaming up to face Nikki Bella and Alicia Fox. And again, not as good as Paige Sasha, but still a very fun match. Relatively quick match, but it wasn't so quick that they didn't tell a story, and it wasn't so quick that nobody really got to get any signature offense in. It seems like both Charlotte and Becky Lynch got a good amount of signature offense in, and while Alicia Fox and Nikki Bella were mostly on the receiving end in this match, they did some cool stuff on their own and had some pretty cool tag team stuff going on.
Absolutely. I enjoyed the back and forth. Again, to your point, it seemed like the NXT women were more dominant, but I think the quote-unquote Bella Army or Team Bella or whatever you want to call them did hold their own enough. Particularly Nikki Bella as the Divas champion, who should be one of the strongest-looking people in there. And I have to say, I thought it was a really cool sight seeing Charlotte spear Nikki. I thought that was really cool to see. And then, when it came down to Alicia Fox and Becky Lynch gets Alicia in the disarmor, and Alicia taps out. So Becky Lynch gets a win on the board. And what we were talking about, Ashton, I think it was a week or two ago, Becky Lynch unlocked her entrance theme, because I know you made a joke about how, hey, when you get a win, you unlock your entrance music, because until then you come out.
And hey, man, as far as I know, that's a completely true theory, because that's exactly what happened for all three of them.
Exactly. So they get their moment in the limelight. They get their music to go with it. It's a beautiful thing. And to kind of wrap this up in all, one nice little neat package, we find out that this Thursday on SmackDown, and I can't believe, again, looking forward to a women's match, it's going to be Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella one-on-one.
Oh, are they seriously going to have Becky? You know what? I feel like they would rather have a dirty finish with no real winner than either one of these women lose clean.
I feel like the best finish to go with, have Nikki in the disarmor, make it look like she's going to tap out, and then maybe Bray runs interference and gets the match thrown out.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds pretty accurate.
So we'll see what happens, but man, I am loving the booking of these NXT women, and again, just going back to our reservations earlier, I really hope it lasts. I really do. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. All right, up next, though, we had a really quick Tough Enough recap. They just talked about Patrick getting cut, showed the Big Show doing the chops, that kind of thing. Not really anything too intense or in detail, really. And then we get right into our semi-main event, Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, Sheamus on commentary. And match, pretty decent, but the post-match was where it really shone.
Oh, absolutely. Great back and forth from Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. I enjoyed Sheamus on commentary, especially him putting Michael Cole in his place. That was great stuff. And, Sheamus is just such a great heel. So underappreciated, except by us, of course. And then, to your point, the post-match, Sheamus picked his spot. He kicked Orton clean in the face. And it looked like they were really going to put the boots to him some more. But then Cesaro makes the charge.
Coming out in sweatpants and a tank top looking like a white version of The Rock.
Exactly. That's the exact vibe I got. I'm like, damn, Cesaro. And, he uppercuts Sheamus. He dives out of the floor onto Kevin Owens. So he's taking it to both of them. But the numbers game eventually catches up to him. And the segment ends with Kevin Owens standing tall once again after a pop-up powerbomb. So Cesaro, though, making the save. He's really embracing this babyface role. I think he's slowly ascending up the card. I think Cesaro's going to finish 2015 strong, if you ask me. And I love that he's in a program with Kevin Owens.
Yeah, definitely. The whole thing with Cesaro and Owens, I think, is going to lead to a match of the year.
I agree. I think these two certainly have it in them. If you give these guys
15 plus minutes, yeah,
15 plus minutes, I would love 20-25 for these two.
Well, I mean, here's my thing, dude.
I
mean, I agree that 20-25 minutes would be incredible, but I mean, first of all, we're being realistic, and this is the WWE, and they aren't named John Cena or holding a title, so I highly doubt it'll happen. But then, second of all, I also want to kind of tack on. Let's look at all the G1 matches that we've seen so far. Not a single one has gone over 20 minutes. Not even the one that we just saw today from yesterday, Tanahashi versus Naito. That was 19 minutes and some odd seconds. So if those guys can put on, and even like AJ Styles and Ibushi, I think that was 17 minutes and something.
Right.
So if those guys can put on as amazing matches as they do in under 20 minutes, I think Owens and Cesaro can blow the doors off this place.
Absolutely, and I hope somebody lays out the challenge to them exactly like that, because I know they can rise to the occasion. These are two phenomenal performers, and they could steal the card out from under everybody else at SummerSlam if given the opportunity. So here's to hoping.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, up next, though, we had our main event of the evening. John Cena versus Seth Rollins for the United States Championship. And all I can say is this John Cena character really knows how to rise above odds.
Indeed, he does. You know what? Enjoyable main event. I think you kind of knew the conclusion going into it, if for no other reason, because I think there's a bigger story being told here overall. And that's that, John Cena obviously is going to be set to face Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. But
You know how John Cena always says, "You can't see me"?
Yeah.
Well, John Cena can't smell me.
Nice.
Or anything else.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're making reference to. Yes, because I was going to say that this match got so physical that at one point Seth Rollins kneed John Cena in the face and he connected square on the nose. I think he straight up broke that nose, dude.
You think? Dude, that nose was about as broken as anything I've ever seen, ever. The nose was broke. It was broke hard. It legitimately looked like the cartilage that makes up the bridge of a person's nose was like poking through, trying to make its way over to Cena's eyeball.
Right. Yeah, it looked bad. Cena was even bleeding a little bit, but folks, if you want to talk about blood, you should have seen Toru Yano versus what was it, Kojima today?
It was Hideyoshi Tenzan.
Tenzan, yes, Tenzan, yeah. Oh my God, bloodbath.
And that's another example too of someone getting busted open the hard way too, because Tenzan came off the top rope with a freaking headbutt and connected the hard way, and they were both busted open. And I mean, Tenzan was bloody, but it looked like Toru Yano legitimately, like, he had probably a good 3-inch gash on his forehead, and it was just spouting blood, man. It was bad.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So this wasn't as bad, but I mean, still, the image of John Cena's broken nose looked absolutely...
Well, I mean, it wasn't as bad in that there wasn't as much blood, but I would argue that it was still just as graphic, if not even more graphic, just because they kept on showing Cena's nose. Like, they kept showing how massively disfigured his nose looked and how it basically looked completely dislodged. It looked like he couldn't decide what direction his nose... Let me put it this way. It looked like somebody was putting together a Mr. Potato Head doll and put the nose on crooked.
Yeah, but you know what, though? I loved that they kept the focus for two reasons. I mean, A, it would have been difficult to do otherwise because the nose is located in the very inconvenient area known as the face. Okay? So, that's one thing. And two, they used it to further John Cena's personal narrative. Yes. And I like that.
Oh, my God. It was so good. And to me... I feel like even if you're the hardest of hardcore John Cena haters, he had to earn at least a modicum of your respect tonight, because have you ever, I mean, I personally, I don't necessarily remember it all that well, but I know for a fact that I broke my nose when I was in kindergarten. And all I remember was that I couldn't see for a really long time, and I don't mean a long time as in like weeks, but like hours. And it was just ruthless. It was so painful. And this was when I was 5 years old. John Cena's a grown man, breaks his nose in the middle of the ring. He probably worked the last half of this match borderline blind, because your eyes well up so much, and even though you could see his eyeballs, like in the eye sockets, he probably had so much junk in his eyes from them tearing up from the nose breaking. And on top of that, top it off with the swelling that had to come with it, and the pain and just everything that goes with getting your nose broken. It is horrible. And this man basically no-sold it, worked another maybe 7 minutes, maybe 5 minutes at the very least of this match, and was with it enough to celebrate afterwards. Like, John Cena, I might not necessarily like the way you do business sometimes, but you have my respect, man.
Absolutely. Oh my God, yes. And another great matchup. I'll tell you what, this United States Championship and this whole run, I don't want to be hyperbolic and say, oh, it's reinvigorated John Cena, it's reinvigorated his career, because he's been top dog forever. There's nothing really to reinvigorate. You don't put shock paddles to somebody who's alive, you know? But he's definitely...
you can, but then they wouldn't be alive, and you'd need the shock paddles for a different reason.
Exactly. See, there you go. But I just feel like he's doing some of the best work in his career. I mean, is this up there with some of his U.S. Open challenge defenses? I wouldn't say so, but, you know, still, great matchup, great TV main event by television standards, I'd say. And the really interesting story here to me is not only the fact that, yeah, he beat Seth Rollins after Seth Rollins misses, the Phoenix Splash, which still looks beautiful. It would be nice if he actually hit it full on one of these days. But, man, is John Cena's STF getting just revamped altogether, because he makes Kevin Owens tap out, and now he makes Seth Rollins tap out.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And that's another thing too. Rollins kicked out of the AA in this match. And I think that might be why they're revamping the STF, because people keep on frickin' kicking out of the AA the first time he hits it.
And it's just crazy, though, because you never really associate John Cena as one of those submission ender kind of guys.
Oh, yeah, except for the fact that he's been basically beating submission specialists for the last decade with that move.
I know, right?
I will never forget the first time that Chris Benoit tapped out to that move. I was so freaking angry.
I know.
Oh my God. Because it was just like, oh, Benoit, the submission specialist, and then John Cena locks in this weak-ass looking leg trap move, and Benoit taps out, and yeah, that was really, really bad. I can't even imagine how you felt on that day. You're the actual Benoit fan between the two of us.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget when John Cena debuted the hold. I mean, he won a triple threat submission match against Chris Masters, who had the Master Lock in the Master Lock Challenge at the time, and Kurt freaking Angle.
Yep.
So,
and
yeah.
Wasn't it Angle that tapped out to it?
It was Masters that tapped out to it, thankfully.
Okay.
But, I mean, Jesus.
I mean, Kurt ended up tapping to it, too, so... It's not like we were saving him by having Masters tap that one time.
Nobody escapes the Cena STF.
Yeah.
Nobody.
And that was back when it was called the STFU, when he was naming all of his moves off of, edgy internet lingo. Oh, my.
So, yeah, it gets Rollins to tap out. You have to imagine they're going to do a rematch at SummerSlam with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, where we all presume, anyway, that Rollins would get his win back. But that 16th title reign, though, could be right around the corner.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's going to be glorious, because he's going to win it and get that 16th title reign, and we're not going to give a crap, and then Sheamus is going to cash in, and the entire internet is going to borderline slit their wrists, and we're going to be laughing all the way to the bank with it.
I know! I can't wait! It's going to be amazing. Yeah. But, yeah, solid matchup, great work between these two. I mean, nothing has still touched their one SmackDown match, that one episode.
From December of, was it 20? I think it was 2013.
Yeah, I think it was 2013 as well, Ash, and that was probably the best match they've ever had and could potentially ever will have together. But, hey, SummerSlam...
I don't know, dude. I think SummerSlam... Yeah, I was going to say, they're going to get a lot of time at SummerSlam. It's a 4-hour show. They're getting time.
Exactly. And the question is, though, can they use that time wisely? I mean, to kind of illustrate a point you made earlier, Ashton, you look at G1 Climax, some barn burners were only like 14 minutes. John Cena and Seth Rollins could have a 30-minute match, and maybe there's a little bit of disconnect. It's all on them. So I can't wait to see it. But, yeah, this is a great TV main event to round the night out.
Yeah, I mean, even the show that we just watched today, obviously the two matches that we enjoyed the most were the main event and the semi-main event. But the match that we enjoyed the most after that was probably Makabe Shibata. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely.
That match was under 10 minutes.
Exactly.
That match was only 9 minutes and 35 seconds, and we were losing our minds reacting to it.
Oh, God, G1 Climax is so amazing. It commands your life. It is your life when you enter it, but man, is it so worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because I never thought I'd see the day that Raw would come and I'd be like, oh, well, this is different. I can get into this.
Right, though? Oh, my God. It's like, oh, this is how they do it back home. But, yeah, good stuff, man.
Oh, man, yeah. I can't wait for Lucha Underground and NXT on Wednesday to get a real dose of different.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
All right, well, I mean, heck, man, that was the main event. John Cena, LOL, wins. And I swear, I change up the order of those three words every time I say it. I think that's just going to be a running joke from now on. So,
it could be.
Yeah. So let's move on, bro.
All right, high spots and low shots. You know what? My low shot is Seth Rollins.
Well, yeah, he is.
Yeah, you could have walked out a dual champion, and instead you decide to be stupid, go for a high-risk maneuver, and then tap out. So rather than leaving with 2 titles, you've now become the prime target for the only one you have by a guy who's held it 15 times.
Listen, John, it's self-preservation.
Okay, he doesn't get to use that excuse because he's not a father, damn it! Yes, I got to use the line again! Yes!
Oh my god.
I was going to use it a different way, but you totally helped me out there, so thank you.
Well, this is going to be the most ironic low shot possibly ever. Because not only did he win a match tonight, but he beat the World Heavyweight Champion. My low shot's John Cena because of that nose.
Oh my god, what? You know he's going to be back next week.
Dude, he's going to be back next week, but his film career will never be the same.
Oh, I know, right? It was just starting to get off the ground. I don't know if you guys, any of you listening, had plans to see Trainwreck, but apparently it's gotten really, nice reviews.
So we personally prefer Double Toasted for our movie reviews. They're great. Formerly a couple members of the Spill crew, for those of you that know what that is. For those of you that don't, I don't know, Google it. But anyway. Yeah, Cena's film career never going to be the same. Nikki Bella's going to break up with him now. I don't know, man. He's going to lose all kinds of ad contracts. He's screwed.
I think out of all those things, the Nikki Bella breakup is probably the one that you could really construe as a positive at the end of the day.
No more pressure to have babies and get married.
Exactly.
Then Nikki could hook up with Dolph Ziggler on Total Divas, and it would make way more sense.
You know something, Ashton? Your low shot may have started out as the more outlandish between the two of us, but you took me places with that one, man. So, you know what? Kudos to you. Let's see. You know what? Oh, God, high spot. This is where it gets a bit more difficult. You know what? I'm going to do something different. My high spot's the freaking New Day.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
Nobody else can steal your attention without even wrestling quite like they do.
You know, and that's just it, because I know you gave a very unique, and I really did love it, kind of justification for making John Cena your low shot by looking just at the injury. My thing is, to use the same kind of liberty, but for a high spot, no, they don't have the championships. No, they didn't have a match tonight. They didn't win anything.
They didn't even cut a promo, man.
They didn't even cut a promo.
But, to the tune of Kalisto's chant, New Day, New Day, New Day.
Exactly. I mean, you got that. They're still getting in the heads of the primetime players. They distracted Los Matadores, who, New Day took the credit for their victory over PTP in the first place. And, which I know you popped for, and I just wanted to mention this again because you popped for and I enjoyed it too. When New Day's music hit, 2 fans jumped out of their seats. So they were really happy to see New Day.
Yes! Oh my god, those guys are amazing.
So the power of positivity is a real thing, and I suggest you all get on board.
Why are you so angry at our viewers? They love New Day too.
I know. It's just I'm really pumped up from Big E skipping. I want us to do things together now. Like, I have just been in a mood today. I know you and I talked about golfing. I want to go golfing with Big E now, just the 3 of us. And Adam Cole.
Imagine, oh my god, oh my god. Can we bring Kevin Owens too?
Yes, bring everybody.
Kevin Owens might want to bring his family, but I think it would be worth it.
He's such
They can have their own separate golf cart.
They can. Oh my god. Now I want to write golfing fan fiction. I have so many problems.
No, but seriously though, Big E and Adam Cole on a golfing trip, yes.
Oh my god.
What is happening right now?
I don't know, man, but I'm not even scared about it.
Oh my goodness, my high shot, well, what is it?
High spot.
That thing, my high spot is Sasha Banks. I mean, no explanation needed. Let's move on.
Yeah, from the original Sasha Banks supporter of TWitWoW, baby, it feels so right. So yeah, no explanation needed indeed. Let's move on to Raw Request. Oh my god, where do we even go from here? You know what? I think my Raw Request, I want to see some kind of conflict next week between Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, and maybe the conflict gets so big that that's how we introduce. I'm assuming everybody read the rumors by now. Sting coming in and kind of mediating the whole thing. So I want to see some trouble brewing after Bray Wyatt alluded to, Roman Reigns maybe not caring as much about Dean Ambrose as he claims to. So let's get some tension building rather than just him refuting it with a simple promo and Dean Ambrose being like, yeah, he'll never stab me in the back. No, let's really build some tension here and play it off of the Dean Ambrose character being so mentally unhinged. So that's my Raw request.
But John, Dean Ambrose's character isn't mentally unhinged. They just love to say that on commentary relentlessly.
Well, whatever the case may be, I really think they should play up some dramatic tension here, so go for it.
Yeah.
What's your request? Well, really? We just shared Big E skipping together and already back to the antagonisms. Oh, okay.
Did you even hear what I said?
I thought you said my face was whatever, and you did your face joke.
Yeah, I said your face was dramatically tense.
Well, yeah. How am I supposed to take that? I have feelings.
It's a compliment.
Oh, how? What?
No, you'll figure out. My Raw request is really simple, though.
Don't you leave me alone with this.
My Raw request for next week is for John Cena to drop the U.S. title.
Okay, yeah, that actually, I'm so left alone over here, but yeah, I agree. I feel like it would be better if we had, and to give you credit, because you posted this on Tweetoff anyway, it would be better to have Cesaro Owens for the U.S. Championship.
Yeah.
And Cena Rollins just be all about that WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Because to me...
And introducing a championship to the Cesaro Owens thing would give me more confidence that it's going to get more time, too.
Definitely. And here's the thing, and I mean this in the most flattering way possible. I don't mean to be condescending. But to John Cena, I mean, he's done his job. I think he's achieved what he set out to do. I care about the U.S. title now. I care about who the next holder's going to be.
Yep.
So, pass it on to Kevin Owens. Let him run with that thing. And then Kevin Owens can pass it on to Finn Balor, after him. So, let's just continue the line, man. I really love that, dude. I really like that Raw request. Oh, fix my signature to that in a heartbeat. So, with that said, we only have one segment left, and I only shudder to think, what the question's going to be, but it's 30-second hot seat, so it's been quite a crazy time here on TWitWoW. So what's your question for me tonight?
All right. Tell you what, man, I know we've been kind of doing all this G1 stuff and all this junk, but Summerslam is a good, 4 weeks away, I think. So I think that I can actually ask a SummerSlam-related question now.
Okay.
Why do you think they're moving SummerSlam to 4 hours? You have 30 seconds. Your time starts now.
Ooh, that's such a good question. I think Brock Lesnar and Undertaker's going to get a lot of time, as will Cena Rollins. So that's probably one reason why. And two, I could see this being maybe a 9-match card, and they're going to give all matches a moderate amount of time. So I think just a lot of matches are going to get treated well, and that's why it's 4 hours. So.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's an acceptable answer, and it only took you about 22 seconds. So yeah, good job. I am curious, though, obviously outside of the context of 30-second hot seat, you said 9-match card. Did you have 9 matches in mind, or is that just a number you pulled out of thin air?
That's a number I pulled out of thin air, because I think I also factored in the kickoff show, but, I mean, I could just see this being a really stacked card.
It's crazy, because if you think about it, if they have a kickoff, it's going to be a 5-hour kind of viewing experience.
Right, yeah.
As opposed to WrestleMania, which has a 2-hour kickoff show and makes it a 6-hour viewing experience.
Right. Definitely.
Oh, my goodness. So much unnecessary, just everything with WWE.
Dude, I'm sorry. When they said that SummerSlam was going to be a 4-hour event, I just had to laugh, kind of that laugh you have before breakdown, because TWitWoW is already producing so much in the month of August. The content output is going to be insane for you guys, and we hope you love all of it.
Well, you know what, though? It's going to be a nice blow-off, because SummerSlam is the last show that we do before our break that we take from Raw in the fall.
Yeah, how perfect is that, dude, that it's going to be
Although, you know what, I do think that we included in our little, statement about going on break that we are going to do a TWitWoW for just the Raw after SummerSlam and then take the break.
Yeah, I believe you are correct in that. And, just quite an appropriate way, to go out, again, say for the Raw after SummerSlam.
It's just all building to a crescendo, man, because, we're doing G1 until the 16th, and then boom, 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 21st, 22nd, 23rd. On the 21st, there's a Philadelphia show. I don't think ROH is going to be streaming it, but I might actually go to it live. 22nd NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, and then 23rd freaking 4-hour SummerSlam, and then the Raw after SummerSlam, and then we get a break.
Absolutely. Going to be crazy, guys.
And just to be clear, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a break, meaning like we're not going to be putting any videos up. It's just a break from Raw reviews, because typically the WWE decides to let their writers do whatever the hell they want and doesn't give a crap about anything for the good 4 months between SummerSlam and Royal Rumble.
Yeah, so we're just deciding to get off that ship, so to speak, while it's sinking, at least for those few months.
Yeah.
But, we're always going to have nice content to substitute that, and we just really appreciate all the feedback we've been getting on G1 and everything else. It's been such an incredible experience, and we have you guys to thank for it. You guys are amazing. With that said, Ashton, do you have any closing sentiments about this Raw?
I haven't.
All right. Well, then this has been Raw. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. How do you think SummerSlam is looking thus far? Do you think the women's revolution is still going on full force? Do you have any complaints about it? What do you think of Cesaro Owens mixing it up? Be sure to take the conversation over to Tweetoff, an amazing pro wrestling group on Facebook. Remember, for every pay-per-view, we do predictions. We have championships. It's a good time. We really get into it. But I get it. You may not like me coming up here every week and pressuring you to do something like, John, I'm a minimalist. I just want to talk to as few people as possible. That's cool. Because Ashton has created a TWitWoW subreddit. You can see all of our episodes there. And on top of that, you can start threads on whatever wrestling topic you want, and you can direct them at either one of us or both of us and just talk wrestling with Team TWitWoW here. And with that said, we will see you again. For one thing, Day 6 of G1 Climax. You can expect that soon. And as far as reviews go, for our Lucha Underground review, it's the first week of Ultima Lucha. Gonna be crazy, man. Absolutely insanity. And guys, I just can't wait for it. We are producing content like crazy, and we just love all the support. So until then, tune in and peace out. Oh, and wait. Tuesday, I think, yes, Ultima Lucha preview and predictions. My apologies, I forgot about that. So yes, on top of Day 6 G1 Climax, you will get prior discussion about Ultima Lucha preview and predictions. You get to hear me, laugh maniacally about Johnny Mundo potentially dismembering Alberto Al Patron. So that's always a good time, right? Please don't report me. So until then, again, tune in and peace out.